Welcome to Wolfcroft, stories based on true people, events and happenings in history, or just some fun adventure, suspense chilling thrillers, or just a short fictional story. You came to the right place. If this is your second time listening, please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on new stories. And if you like this one, please don't forget to hit the like button. For now, let's get into it.
Scrambled by KJ GROWLING. Part 1. The Yoke Before the Storm. Chapter 1. December 1st, 11 days before anyone admitted it was happening. 06:47 a.m. Nigel came on at 6:47, as he always does. I did not ask Nigel to come on at 6:47. I set no alarm. I made no arrangement. Nigel simply decided, as he has decided every morning for the past 3 years, that 6:47 is the correct time for the world to begin, and he has yet to be wrong about this in any way I can dispute. The BBC morning program murmured into the room the way it always does, that particular frequency of controlled British authority, the kind of voice that could announce the heat death of the universe and still make it sound like something that would be sorted out after the ad break. I lay in bed for a moment listening to the central heating tick, and the presenter discuss a parliamentary committee's findings on something I was already too tired to care about, and thought. Another day. Another Tuesday of existing publicly. I should explain something about my Tuesdays before I explain anything else. My Tuesdays for approximately the last 3 years have followed a reliable pattern. I wake up. I make tea, Builders, 2 sugars, in the large mug my daughter bought me that says "World's Most Controversial Author," which she meant affectionately, and which the internet has since adopted as a battle cry in both directions. I sit at my desk. I open eggs. And then I say something true, and the world tells me to die. This is not self-pity. I want to be very clear that this is not self-pity. I wrote Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Pebble in a cafe in Edinburgh with £11 in my bank account, and a daughter I was raising alone, and a heating system that had opinions about working only on alternate Wednesdays. I have been a single mother on benefits and a billionaire author, and everything in between, and I have learned that self-pity is a room you can visit briefly. But you cannot live there, because the rent is your dignity, and the landlord never fixes anything. I am simply describing my Tuesdays accurately. I got up, I made the tea, I sat at my desk. Outside, December had arrived in the way December always arrives in London. Not dramatically, not with the cinematic snowfall of a Bogwarts Christmas, but greyly, damply, with the particular passive aggression of a British winter that never commits fully to being terrible, but never allows you to be comfortable either. Nigel muttered about interest rates. I opened eggs. The eggs feed of KJ GROWLING. December 1st, morning. At KJ GROWLING 07:14 a.m. Good morning. I see the outrage machine has been warming up since 5 a.m. Impressive dedication. Some of us were sleeping. Egg 4.2, K speech balloon 18.7 K. At KJ GROWLING 07:31 a.m. Replying to it woke Warrior 2009 and 47 others. A woman is an adult human female. I've said this. I'll keep saying it. You are welcome to be furious about the dictionary. The dictionary, I'm afraid, is not furious back. Egg 22.4 K speech balloon 134 K. At KJ GROWLING 07:58 a.m. The new Fantastic Beasts Illustrated Edition is out Thursday. It has nothing to do with my opinions on biology. It has everything to do with Newt Scamander and a niffler who steals a priceless diamond and feels absolutely no remorse. Pre-order if you're interested. Boycott if you must. The niffler doesn't care either way. Egg 61, K speech balloon 23K. At Egg support promoted. Elon Musk's AI now smarter than ever. Your thoughts amplified. At KJ GROWLING 08:22 a.m. Replying to it trans rights now 99. I have never, not once, not ever said I hate anyone. I have said I believe in the material reality of biological sex. These are not the same sentence. One of them is a position. One of them is a slur you're projecting onto me. I know the difference even if you've decided not to. Egg 31K speech, balloon 287K. At Elon Tusk 08:25 a.m. Egg D your post at trans rights, now 99. At KJ GROWLING 08:26 a.m. Of course he did. Egg 189K speech, balloon 44K. I put the phone down at 7:30 and looked at Nigel. Nigel was discussing a developing health situation in several European capitals. In the tone of voice, the BBC reserves for things that are concerning, but not yet concerning enough to interrupt the program that follows. I turned him up slightly. The presenter mentioned a viral cluster first identified in Central Africa and monitoring the situation closely, and no cause for alarm at this time. No cause for alarm at this time is, in my experience, the BBC's way of saying moderate cause for alarm at this time, but we've consulted the style guide, and we're not calling it that yet. I made a note of it in the margin of the notebook I keep beside Nigel. Not because I thought it was significant, because I am a writer and I have been a writer for 30 years, and the habit of noting things down is as involuntary as breathing. Viral cluster, Central Africa, European capitals, no cause for alarm. I underlined it once, then went to make more tea. 11:03 a.m. The morning passed in the way mornings pass when you are a writer working at home in December. Slowly, guiltily, with frequent checks of eggs that you tell yourself are research and are not research. By 11, I had written 400 words of the 8th Harry Potter novel, the one I have been writing for 6 years, and which exists currently as a document called "Do not open this until it is finished, KJ, you absolute disaster." Deleted 230 of them, reinstated 115, and made 3 cups of tea I forgot to drink. Nigel had moved on to a program about sustainable fishing. The eggs' replies were still rolling in. They always roll in. It is one of the peculiarities of the modern age that you can say something at 7 in the morning and be receiving responses from strangers in New Zealand about it at lunchtime, and I had made the tactical error of reading some of them. I picked up my phone. At KJ GROWLING 11:09 a.m. A brief note to the person who spent 40 minutes composing a thread explaining why my children's books about a boy wizard are problematic. He goes to a boarding school. He waves a stick. A man with no nose tries to kill him. It is not a manifesto. Please go outside. Egg 94K speech, balloon 31K. At KJ GROWLING 11:34 a.m. I am trying to write. This would be easier if the internet would stop having opinions about me specifically for approximately 40 minutes. I realize this is like asking the tide to take a personal day. Egg 77K speech, balloon 8.2K. At Harry Potter fan Gemma, replying to at KJ GROWLING. We love you, KJ, please. Keep writing the 8th book, we have been waiting so long. At KJ GROWLING, replying to at Harry Potter fan Gemma, 11:36 a.m. It's coming, Gemma. Harry will return. I just have to stop reading my egg's replies long enough to let him. Egg 203K speech, balloon 12K. 1:17 p.m. Mrs. Patel had not collected her milk. I noticed this on my way back from the kitchen, the bottle sitting on her doorstep where it had been since this morning, the silver foil cap slightly dimpled from the cold. Mrs. Patel has collected her milk every morning for the 4 years she has lived next door to me. She is 71 years old, originally from Gujarat, makes an extraordinary lamb curry that she occasionally leaves on my doorstep with a note that says only "eat properly," in handwriting that tolerates no argument. She was not answering her door. I knocked twice, waited, knocked again. Nothing. I told myself she had gone to stay with her daughter in Harrow. I told myself this convincingly enough to go back inside. I made lunch toast, which is what I make when I'm unsettled and can't be bothered to examine why. I stood at the kitchen window eating it and looking at the street. The street looked normal. I went back to my desk. I opened eggs. At KJ GROWLING 1:42 p.m. replying to at Feminists Against KJG and 12 others. I founded a refuge for women fleeing domestic violence. I have donated more money to women's causes than most of my critics have had hot dinners. I will not be lectured about my feminism by an anonymous account with a cat avatar. Good afternoon. Egg 156, K speech balloon 89K. At Elon Tusk 2, 01 p.m. The free speech platform is working as intended. Egg. At KJ GROWLING 2, 03 p.m. Nobody asked you, Elon. Egg 445K speech balloon 67K. At Elon Tusk 2, 04 p.m. Face with tears of joy. I stared at the laughing emoji for a moment. Then I looked at Nigel. Nigel had gone quiet in the way he sometimes goes quiet between programs. That brief breath of static that sounds, if you're in the right mood, like the radio equivalent of clearing your throat before bad news. The afternoon program began. The presenter, calm, measured, a voice I have listened to for years and trust in the way you trust something familiar, the way you trust that Nigel will come on at 6:47, said the following sentence. We're receiving reports of several incidents in East London this afternoon involving what authorities are describing as individuals in a state of acute medical distress. Emergency services are on the scene. The public is advised to avoid the following areas. I picked up my pen. I wrote down the areas. I looked at the window. I looked at Mrs. Patel's milk. 3:58 p.m. 4 ambulances. I counted them from the crack between my curtain and the window frame, a gap I had created instinctively, the way you do when you want to observe something without committing to the act of observing it. 4 ambulances in 40 minutes, all heading east, none of them returning. The street itself was quiet. Quiet in a way that a London street in December at 4 in the afternoon is not usually quiet. There should be school-run traffic. There should be the corner shop with its door propped open leaking the smell of fried chicken and the sound of a television. There should be Mrs. Patel's granddaughter, who visits on Tuesdays and always parks slightly too close to my front gate. None of these things were present. I picked up my phone. At KJ GROWLING 4:04 p.m. 4 ambulances, all heading east. My street is very quiet. My neighbor hasn't collected her milk. Nigel is being ominously measured about incidents in East London. I am not doing a bit. Egg 312, speech balloon 47. At Egg user Mark, replying to at KJ GROWLING. Lol, sure you're not. At Woke Warrior 2009, replying to at KJ GROWLING. Desperate for attention as always. At KJ GROWLING, replying to at Woke Warrior 200940:07 p.m. Yes, I have manufactured 4 ambulances and a missing pensioner for the attention. You've caught me. Egg 22, K speech balloon 3.1K. I put the phone down. Nigel said, authorities are urging calm. The incidents appear to be isolated. There is no indication at this time of any wider public health concern. I have written enough stories to know what no indication at this time means. It means we have an indication. We are not ready to tell you about it yet. I got up. I checked the locks on the front door, then the back door, then the windows on the ground floor, moving through the house with a systematic thoroughness that I told myself was simply prudence and was, if I was honest with myself, something closer to preparation. In the hallway, I passed the framed first edition cover of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Pebble, the one from 1997, the one that started everything. Harry's face, round, surprised, glasses slightly crooked, looking out at me the way he always looks out at me, with that expression that says, I didn't ask for this either, but here we are. Here we are, I thought. I went back to my desk. I opened my notebook to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote the date. Below it, I wrote, what I know, what I don't know, what Nigel won't say yet. This is how I begin every story. I didn't know, standing there in the gray December afternoon with the pen in my hand and Nigel murmuring, and Mrs. Patel's milk going cold on the doorstep next door, that I had just begun one. 9:43 p.m. By 9 o'clock, the egg's feed had changed. Not dramatically, not all at once. The way a tide changes gradually, and then you look up and the water line is somewhere completely different from where it was, and you can't identify the exact moment it moved. The political arguments were still there. They are always there. The internet does not pause its opinions for ambulances, but between them, increasingly, like weeds growing between paving stones, other posts. Ordinary people, not journalists, not verified accounts with blue eggs beside their names, just people. Anyone else hearing sirens, constantly near Stratford. My boyfriend works at the Royal London Hospital, and he just called me and told me to stay inside, and then the call cut off. Genuine question, is anyone else's street completely empty right now? Tried to go to Tesco on Roman Road, it's closed. Tesco doesn't close. I read them all. I screenshotted some. I am, at heart, a note-taker. It is the most ineradicable part of being a writer, the compulsion to document, to preserve, to take the formless thing happening in front of you and give it shape and sequence. Nigel, at 9:30, broadcast a statement from the Department of Health. A minister whose name I didn't catch, measured, rehearsed, with the particular quality of calm that politicians deploy when they are not calm, described a small number of cases of an aggressive viral presentation currently under investigation. He used the phrase abundant caution twice. He used the phrase no need for public alarm 3 times. He did not take questions. The statement lasted 4 minutes and 40 seconds. In those 4 minutes and 40 seconds, the eggs posts I was watching shifted from hundreds to thousands. I looked at Nigel. Abundant caution, Nigel repeated in his measured BBC way. Nigel, I said, out loud, to the radio, which is something I do more than I've admitted in any interview. You and I both know that abundant caution means they've run out of the other kind. Nigel offered me a traffic update. I picked up my phone. At KJ GROWLING 9:51 p.m. I want to be very clear. I'm not doing a bit. Something is happening. I don't know what it is yet. Neither does the minister who just gave a 4-minute statement on Nigel and used abundant caution as though it were a full stop rather than a barely disguised ellipsis. Stay inside tonight. Check on your neighbors. I'm going to keep posting. Egg 44.7, K speech balloon 120K. The replies split immediately, 2/3 mockery, 1/3 something else. Something that looked, if you squinted at it, like people who were also watching their empty streets and their unread text messages and their Nigel equivalents and feeling, for the first time, the specific cold of not knowing something that was happening to them right now. I read every reply. I made more tea. I did not drink it. Outside, somewhere distant, east, always east tonight, something that was not quite a siren and not quite a scream moved through the dark for a moment and then was gone. I picked up my pen. I wrote Day 1. End of Chapter 1. December 1st, KJ GROWLING's eggs posts, 9. Total interactions, 1.4 million. Mrs. Patel's milk, still on the doorstep. Nigel, still on. Harry Potter Book 8, 285 words, saved. The world, still technically intact. For now. Chapter 2 follows. December 2nd, the replies chain, in which the mockery thins, the fear thickens. KJ checks on Mrs. Patel, and somewhere near Elephant and Castle, a 32-year-old man from Cape Town picks up his guitar and plays Wish You Were Here to an empty hostel common room while the news plays above him, and uses a word he learned from a German girl without noticing he's done it.
If you would like to know more about history on a specific person, time or place, or even just fictional creativity like adventure, horror, zombie survival, take a moment and drop us a comment down below for your request, or send us a mail and the team here at Wolfcroft Stories will be glad to mention your preferred name as to the inspiration to the video to the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to know, learn or listen to more, like these, why not give us a like and subscribe for more? Wishing you a safe and grand week ahead. from the team at Wolfcroft Stories.